Wow, it's great to be back at the Successful Bookkeeper Summit. This is the third year that I've been invited to present, to speak. And this year, I'm going to be doing something a little bit different. So as many of you perhaps know, I usually talk about value pricing, and that's what I've done for the last couple of years at the summit. But this time, something a little bit different. And what we're going to be talking about really is two important things. Firstly, we're going to be talking about why we need to be creating more value for our clients and how we can do it through business advisory services. And secondly, how we can make that so easy when we tap into the power of ChatGPT. And today I'm going to be doing a demonstration of ChatGPT. We're going to go really detailed. We're going to be doing practical use cases. I'm going to dive into ChatGPT and show you some of the amazing things we can do to create more value for our clients. Now, just in case you don't know who I am, my name's Mark Wickersham. I'm a chartered accountant. I've been in this profession since, way back now, 1988. I joined the profession, went to work for a large multi-partner firm, spent 3 years qualifying as a chartered accountant, and then I spent the next few years specializing in tax and tax advisory. And then in 1996, started my own accounting firm, grew that over a number of years. Then I sold it to my client managers. They bought it from me because I then got involved in 2000 with teaching accountants, initially in the UK and now around the world, on how to build a successful accounting firm based on the things that I'd learned, the mistakes I'd made, and what I then figured out. And I now run, 10 years ago, I founded the Value Pricing Academy, where I teach accountants around the world, primarily in the US and Canada. That's most of my audience is in North America. And what I teach is primarily how to master value pricing. But actually what I really teach is how to build a much more successful, more profitable, more fun to run accounting firm. So I teach value pricing, I teach how to create more value through business advisory, and I teach how to grow your firms profitably. So today we're going to be focusing on the business advisory, but making use of ChatGPT. So let's specifically talk about the things I'm going to cover in our short time together. We're going to look at, firstly, just a little bit about the importance of business advisory, but actually more important, what is it? What is business advisory? Because it really helps to have a definition to understand what it is. We're then going to talk a little bit about ChatGPT in overview, and then we're going to get into the practical stuff. I'm going to look at 4 ways that you can use it to deliver powerful business insights. And in particular, we'll look at how to use it for business plan reviews, how to develop business strategy, and how to get financial analysis from ChatGPT. So we have a lot of stuff to cover in the short amount of time we have. Unfortunately, I only have 45 minutes and the clock is ticking fast. So I'm going to kind of get straight into it if that's okay with you. And I'm going to get straight into, first of all, the business advisory side of things. Let's talk about what that is, and then we'll focus on ChatGPT and how we can use it for advisory. Now, I'm not sure where you're at with ChatGPT. When I run webinars, I have found over the last few months that when I ask the question, 58 to 70% of people in the audience tell me they haven't even got an account yet with ChatGPT. Most of the rest are just playing around with it. So I'm going to assume that we've got an entry-level knowledge. I'm going to keep it fairly simple. And in particular, what I will be doing is showing you powerful stuff that you can do with the free account, okay? With the free account. There is, as you get more expert in ChatGPT, and I use it every single day, my team uses it every single day because it's so powerful. And we all have in our business, everybody has the ChatGPT Plus account. We all pay for it. Why? Because there are some amazing things you can do with the paid for account. However, you don't need to pay any money because the free version does some extraordinary things, and that's what we're going to focus on today. So let's get into what is business advisory first. We need to understand what is it. And essentially business advisory is helping clients run a more successful business, about giving business advice. And I think the reason why the profession has struggled with delivering high-value advisory is largely a lack of confidence and partly a lack of understanding what it really means. Because helping a business be more successful means we have to help them give advice around increasing their profits, growing their business, improving cash flow, and that's very different to perhaps the way that we've been trained in compliance work, where we're simply adding up numbers, entering data, producing reports. Advisory is a higher level of skill that we need. And very often in our profession, people lack the confidence. If a business owner asks you to help them create a strategy for their business, then we might well think, well, I've never done that before. I have no idea how to do it. But don't worry, it's much, much easier now with ChatGPT. But let's also understand, well, what is business advisory specifically? And yes, advisory is a broad topic. It's about how do we help our clients build a more successful business. But I think we need to understand a bit more specifically exactly what does that mean? What are we going to do with the client when we work with them? And I see advisory as being something that's a monthly recurring service. I think of consulting work as being a one-off project. We might do some consulting work with a client to help them with their brand. We might do some consulting work to help them increase their profits. And consulting work tends to be specific things that we might do. Whereas business advisory, I see that as being an ongoing process. And the great news about that is it becomes recurring revenue, where clients pay you every single month for as long as they're getting value. So what would we do? What would we do as part of business advisory? I think there are 6 core ingredients of a well-rounded business advisory solution. So let me take you through the 6, and then we'll talk about how we can use ChatGPT to help. And these 6, it doesn't mean you have to do all 6 of these. Those of you that followed my training on value pricing I teach why we should give people different choices, different options, different packages. And that applies with offering an advisory service. We might give a bronze service, a gold service, and a silver service, a middle option. I wouldn't use that language, but we might give them 3 different choices. So as I go through this list of 6 things, these are the 6 things we might include in our premium. But for some clients that just want a starter level, an entry level, a bronze level of advisory, we might use some of these. So what are the 6? Firstly, goal setting. I believe that if we are going to help clients build a more successful business through business advisory, then we first of all have to understand, what does success mean to them? Because everybody's definition of success is different. And so that's where goal setting comes in. What does the client want to achieve? What do they want to achieve in their personal life, and what do they want to achieve in their business? Business success could mean their goal might be to get their business in a place ready to sell in 5 years from now because they want to retire. Success for them could be increasing their profits, doubling their profits. Success could be moving to an overseas location. Whatever it is, it's different for everybody. So how can we possibly start to help people build a more successful business if we don't know, first of all, what does success mean to them? So goal setting is critical and is always the first thing we should do with any business advisory project at the outset, and then every single year we should review the goals. Okay, number 2. The second thing is we should be doing some form of strategic planning. And what do we mean by strategy? Well, I look at it as this. When we're helping clients with strategy, what we are doing is we're helping them to get from where they are today, point A, all the challenges, the frustrations, the pain they're feeling today. We find out where they want to get to, their point B, the goals. So they're at A today, they want to get to B over here somewhere. And strategy is all the things they could possibly do to move them from here to here. So strategy might be to achieve their goals. Their strategy might be to review their pricing. Their strategy might be to create a new website. It might be to hire a sales team. These are all possible strategies that will help them move their business forward. Okay, so strategic planning is where we might help the client come up with some great strategies. Then, of course, there's management reporting. This is perhaps the bit that we find most comfortable because software makes it so easy. This is creating monthly reports that help them understand the numbers and understand the business. And this might include benchmarking, it might include ratio analysis, graphs and charts, all sorts of things we could build into powerful management reports. Then we might do some forecasting, looking into the future, and that might be part of our advisory service. Then there's the ongoing advice. It's not just creating the reports, but actually of much more value is the conversation you have when you talk to the client about what's in the reports, help them to understand their business, look at what's going wrong, the challenges, give them suggestions on how to fix those problems. The ongoing advice is really powerful. And then number six, I think, is one of the most powerful things we can do. I call it accountability. And what I mean by this is a bit like, sometimes you might have heard of coaching. One of the things we are doing as part of advisory is coaching the client to help them get the outcomes they want, the success they want, the goals they want. And what accountability means is this. I think back to when I used to advisory work in my accounting firm back in 1999, 2000. I would often have a meeting with the client. We'd look at various strategies. At the end of the meeting, we'd draw up an action plan of the things that they've said they want to do between now and our next meeting, typically a month away. And so at the end of the meeting, we'd leave and they would tell me what they're going to do between now and our next meeting. And what I found was I would then get to the next meeting a month later. And the first thing I would do is I'd say to the client, so at the end of last meeting, we drew up this action plan. You said you were going to work on these 5 things. How have you got on? And very often the answer was something like this. I meant to do that, but I remember I got back to the office and I had a customer ring me and they were complaining. I had to deal with that. And then one of my team members handed their notice in and, it slipped my mind. And that's the problem with all of us when we're trying to grow a successful business, when we're building our strategy. We get deflected by the stuff that happens in our lives, the customers that complain, the problems. We end up firefighting a lot. So what I figured out way back then was one of the ways that I can add huge amounts of value to my clients is I would have a meeting, offer advice, come up with an action plan of things to do, and then a little while later, perhaps a week later, I just pick up the telephone. Today might be a Zoom call. And I'd say to the client, hi there, just checking in. We've got our next meeting in 3 weeks' time. I know it's a while off, but at the end of last week, you said you were going to work on those 5 things. How are you getting on? And very often the client would say, oh, I'm so glad you've rung. Yes, I'd forgotten all about them. I got so sidetracked by stuff. But yes, I know they are really important things to do. I will block out some time this afternoon and I will work on it. And that's what I mean by accountability. It's just reminding the client at regular intervals, a quick phone call, a quick email, a quick Zoom meeting to remind them of the things that they said they were going to do, things that are going to help them to achieve their goals. And that's a really powerful thing that we can do. It's very simple. It's making them feel accountable to the things that they've said they are going to do. So they are the 6 components of a well-rounded business advisory service. As I said, it may be you don't do all 6 with every client you do advisory. It might be for clients that just want an entry-level service. You might just do some initial goal setting and create a strategic plan. It may be in the middle option. You might add some management reports, ongoing advice. It may be the premium has all of these. Okay, so now that we understand what business advisory is, let's now talk about how we can make it really easy using ChatGPT. So what is ChatGPT first? So very quickly, just a little bit of a background history. ChatGPT was created by a company called OpenAI. OpenAI was founded in 2015 and it was released to the public. ChatGPT version 3.5 was released to the public in November of last year, November 2022. And that's when the world got extremely excited about ChatGPT and other large language models. So ChatGPT is a large language model. It's a form of artificial intelligence. Now, it's not the only large language model, or LLM. It's not the only one. There are many other LLMs around. For example, Google then brought out their version called Bard. There is Anthropic, which Amazon have invested heavily in. Anthropic have their LLM called Claude. It's rumored that Apple are working on their version. Elon Musk is working on his version. There are lots of large language models available. But in all the tests that have been done, it's been found time and time again that the original, ChatGPT, comes out as being the best of the large language models. So that's the one that we use. Does it mean you have to use it? No. If you prefer to use Bard by Google, for example, then you can do. And everything that I'm going to talk about, the use cases, you could take those ideas and use them inside any other large language model. But we're going to stick with ChatGPT. Which is my favorite. Now, ChatGPT has a number of benefits. Think of it as your new team member, your new hire. But unlike a human employee, it has big advantages. You see, humans are not very reliable. Humans are, firstly, incredibly slow. Incredibly slow. When I say incredibly slow, slow in comparison with AI. And you'll see when we get into the live demo very, very soon exactly what I mean by that. They are slow. They are also not available all the time. Unfortunately, your team go out for lunch. They go home at night. They have vacations. ChatGPT is available 24/7. Also, humans have limited knowledge. ChatGPT has been trained on all the information out there on the internet. And so it's got a huge amount of knowledge. So it's faster, it's available 24/7, and it's got a huge amount of knowledge. And so its big benefit is once you start to figure out how to use it, and once you start using it every single day, then it's going to save you huge amounts of time, because rather than having to hire more people for your business as your business grows, you can instead turn to ChatGPT, which is faster. It's always available. It's cheaper as well. That's the other problem with humans. You might have to pay them a salary of $30,000, $40,000, $50,000, $60,000 a year. ChatGPT is just a very, very tiny $20 US dollars a month. And there's also the free version, which, as you'll see in a second, is extremely powerful. But be aware of some of its shortcomings. It's not perfect. There is sometimes some bias in there, human bias. It's not always correct. There's this idea of hallucination, which I won't go into now, but we can talk about another day. In other words, sometimes ChatGPT has a habit of making things up, and it does it in a way that's very convincing. So we have to watch out for that. Now, in recent tests, it was discovered that ChatGPT-4, for example, hallucinates much, much less than Google's Bard. So again, that's another reason to stick with ChatGPT. We have to, of course, be careful of confidentiality, privacy, and security, but it's pretty good. There are some things you just might want to be aware of, like not putting in clients' details into ChatGPT. And the other thing to be aware of is this idea of garbage in equals garbage out. One of the things we have to learn is something called prompt engineering. In other words, we have to learn the language of communicating with a computer, because if we have bad prompts, we're going to get bad responses, bad outcomes. If you want better outcomes, you need to create better prompts. And that's the world of prompt engineering. This is a new skill that we need to learn. All of my team are encouraged every single week to learn prompt engineering. They take a day off a week to learn it. Why that? Because they are very good. My entire team is brilliant with using ChatGPT. It saves them hours of time and they are way more productive. And just to give you an idea of the value of prompt engineering, there's been cases reported, surveys reported in that in the US, for example, some companies are willing to pay $300,000 for prompt engineers. It's a highly sought after skill. Now, if you want to learn more about prompt engineering, I'm going to share some insights as we go into the practical side of things now. But also, I do have a free resource for you. It's an ebook that my team and I wrote called ChatGPT for Accountants and Bookkeepers. It's full of example prompts and a lot more information. So to grab that, I've put the link on the screen. There's also a QR code. So if you have your smartphone, you can hold it up to the screen and that will take you through to the page, the web page to grab the ebook. And what we'll also do is we'll send you a few more emails with some additional resources that we've created for you to help you get more out of ChatGPT. So go and grab that ebook, and that will give you a lot more information to get the best out of this amazing tool. Right, let's look very quickly then at how we can now use it for business advisory. I'm about to jump into ChatGPT, but a quick overview of things that we can do. It's great at analyzing data, doing financial analysis. It's great at researching an industry. So it may be, let's say you have a brand new client, or a client wants to help them grow their business or build a strategy, and they're in an industry that you don't know much about. Perhaps they're in the manufacturing industry. Well, ChatGPT can do the research for you. It's also great at strategic analysis. There are a number of business advisory models that we can use. And I'm going to show you in a bit one of those and how we can create some strategy very, very quickly using ChatGPT. It's also great for reviewing and creating business plans. We can also use it to create reports. So we might, for example, have a strategic planning meeting with the client, and we spend 2 hours with the client going through things, and then we want to create a report afterwards. Well, if we audio record the meeting, very easy if it's a Zoom meeting, of course. If we record it, we can feed that recording into ChatGPT and ask it to summarize it and create a professional written report in minutes, seconds even. We can also use it to help our clients grow their business with their marketing, their content creation. But not just that, it can also help you to create your marketing and content creation to promote your business advisory service. So what I'm going to do now is wake up my computer, and we're going to go really practical. So here is ChatGPT. If you've not come across it very quickly, on the left-hand side, you have all of your chats. And we can now hide that and open it back up. Let me just open it up for a second, because at the bottom you will see 3 dots. And at the very bottom, when you click on these 3 dots, it will open up some extra settings about your plan, if you want to upgrade, if you want to use custom instructions, which is extremely powerful. I won't be talking about that today, but it's my favorite feature. It's how you can personalize it to you. And then we can also change a few settings. And at the top of this list on the left, it says new chat. So when you want to start a brand new chat, that's where you go. And I'm going to do exactly that and close the sidebar. So just a quick thing on chats. One of the things about ChatGPT is think of it as a conversation with a team member where it remembers the previous things that you said. So we would use a chat and keep using that chat whilst we are going backwards and forwards with something that's one particular project. So it may be that if we're doing business advisory for a client, all the things I'm going to show you, we would keep within a chat. And then if you want to use it to do something completely different, to help you brainstorm your own marketing or to write a blog post, we might start a brand new chat for that. So that's chats. Now, when you go to start a brand new chat, what you might see on your screen is different to mine. I have the paid for account, which means I have access to ChatGPT 4. And as part of that, I have access to browse with Bing, advanced data analysis, plugins, and now DALL-E 3. But we're not going to use ChatGPT 4. We're going to stick with 3.5 because all the things that I'm going to show you today, we can do with the free version of the software. At the bottom, it says send a message. This is where you tell it what you want it to do. So let's get started. Let's start with the first idea, the first thing we could do, and that is we could use ChatGPT to review a business plan. So I'm going to use as my case study for the next 20 minutes. I'm going to use a case study. It's a fictional business. It's based in the UK. It's a fish restaurant. And I want to analyze the business plan. So just to save a bit of time, I'm going to copy and paste the prompt. Otherwise, it will be slow watching me type. So here I go. I'm going to go Control V. And it says here, I want you to act as my business consultant. I'm going to upload a business plan and I'm going to ask you a series of questions about it so you can provide advice and strategic guidance. In all your responses, I want you to use a professional writing style. When you receive it, say I'm ready for your questions and stop. Then it says business plan, and I now need to upload the business plan. Show you how to do that in a second, but let's just pick up on a few of these things. It says I want you to act as my business consultant. What we're doing is we're giving it a persona, a role to play. If we don't say that, ChatGPT's default role is a personal assistant. And one of the things that we've learned about ChatGPT is when you ask it to play a different role, like a business consultant, like a financial accountant, then you will get a more nuanced and a better response, and a response appropriate to a business consultant as opposed to a personal assistant. So giving it a persona at the start of every chat is really useful. In this case, I want it to act as a business consultant. I'm then telling it what I want it to do. I want it to help me to come up with some questions about the business plan and give some strategic guidance. And I'm also telling it I want it to give me the output in a professional writing style. So the style of writing, because I might want to cut and paste this into a report for the client. It then says when you receive it, say I'm ready for your questions and stop. The reason I've put that in there, did I turn the demo off? The reason I've put that in there is because if I didn't, I would put the business plan in there and it would start doing something. It would start analyzing it, telling me stuff. It's very enthusiastic, but I'm not ready to do that yet. I just want it to tell me it's got the business plan. So how do we get the business plan into there? So what we can do is, with the free version, is we can copy and paste. I have a little business plan for my client. So I'm just going to do Control A to select all of it, Control C to copy. I'm going to go back to here and I'm going to overwrite the upload business plan with Control V, the business plan. Now, before I hit the green button, let me just go back very, very quickly. So my business plan is a short plan that gives a summary of the business. They're a seafood restaurant run by two brothers. They were founded in 2018. It talks about, in the business plan, the value proposition, a bit about the market. It's a little bit about their team, their key partners, key resources, a bit about COVID, because that was relevant a few years back to the restaurant industry, and a bit about their revenue and costs. So it's a simple 3-page business plan about the client. So I'm giving it that to ChatGPT because I wanted to do some analysis. So if I press this green button, it will probably just stop. But sometimes it doesn't always, sometimes it ignores the instructions. Let's see what it does. It says, I'm ready for your questions about your business plan. Please go ahead and ask any specific questions or seek advice, and I'll provide guidance and insights based on your plan. Great, it's done exactly what I asked it to do. It stopped at that point. Basically, that's telling me it's read the business plan. It understands the business. Great, now it understands the business. I can now ask some questions. So let me figure out where I've put my questions. So the first one I want to ask, if I just do Control C and Control V, so coming back to here, are there any key sections missing from this business plan or any essential information missing that will help you to provide a better strategic analysis? So let's imagine I've got a meeting with this client tomorrow. They want help with their strategy. They've given their business plan, and I'm doing some preparation for the meeting with the client. And one of the things I want to do is give them some advice about their business plan. What extra information would be really useful to have in that plan? So here we go. So you can see how fast it's working. Look at this. This is so much faster than a human being. So it's telling me that this business plan would be more useful if there was some market research and analysis, some competitor analysis. It would be better if there was a SWOT analysis, for example, some marketing strategy, some financial projections. So I've straight away got some great ideas of how I could help my client improve their business plan. Okay, what else might I then do? Well, it said, if I just copy and paste this, if I go back to here, so it said it will be useful to have some market research and analysis. It goes on to say, including competitor analysis. So I can now dig deeper on that. I can say to the ChatGPT, based on that number one, so I can say, analyze the competitive landscape for this business and identify 5 ways to improve competitiveness. Because I figure that would be quite useful to give my client tomorrow some advice about how to build a more competitive business. So I hit the green button and off it goes. So it's now telling me it's done some analysis, some competitive analysis based on what it understands about A, the business plan, and its knowledge of the restaurant industry. So it's talking about competitive analysis. Local restaurants. Piranha Brothers, that's the name of this fictional client, competes with other local restaurants offering a variety of cuisines, including traditional British, Italian, Indian, and Thai. This suggests a diverse and competitive dining scene. It talks about fine dining options, pricing, marketing efforts, customer segmentation. So some great stuff there about competitive analysis. And then it's giving some great ideas for how to improve competitiveness against their competitors. So they could diversify their menu, they could enhance their online presence, they could focus on sustainability, they could look at their pricing strategies, and then they could look at customer loyalty and having customer loyalty programs. 5 great ideas you could share with the client to help them be more competitive. There's some great stuff there, and it's very likely that 2 or 3 of those the client will love. They might not like all the ideas, or they might have tried some, but there's some great ones we can talk about in our meeting. Okay, what else might we do? So if I go back to here, it also said another great thing to have in the business plan, number 2, would be SWOT analysis. Now, SWOT analysis is a really powerful tool for helping us with coming up with strategies. SWOT analysis stands for strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. And when I used to do advisory work myself with clients in my accounting firm many years ago, what I would do is in the meeting, I'd get typically 4 big flip chart pads, one headed up strengths, 1 weaknesses, 1 opportunities, 1 threats. And I would say to the client, tell me, what are the strengths of your particular business? What are the weaknesses? And sometimes the clients would think, I don't know what my strengths are. Never really thought about it. So wouldn't it be great if you could do some homework and go into that meeting with an initial draft SWOT analysis, which shows that you've done some research, you've thought about the business, and then from that draft SWOT analysis that you create, you can use that for the starting point. You could say to the client, I've done some analysis of your business. I think these might be your 5 strengths. Let me know if you agree with them, and let me know if you can think of some other things that might be strengths. So in other words, giving the client some suggestions will help them to become creative and think of other ideas. So how can we do that with ChatGPT? Let me show you, and just bear with me a second because I am not very good with the trackpad. I am just copying and pasting a prompt. It's quite a long prompt. The reason I will tell you about in a second when I come across. So here we go, back. So the next prompt in this chat says, here we go. It says, act as a business consultant from a top management company. Again, I've already given it the role earlier on, but I'm just reminding it. It says, I want a SWOT analysis on topic. The topic is this fully licensed fish restaurant. The only reason for that is because you could make this a standard prompt and then you could just change that. You could say the topic is a Canadian bookkeeping business, and it will do a SWOT analysis for your business. It then goes on to, I then told it how I wanted to lay it out. So it says, lay out the SWOT analysis in the following format. Give reasons why a point is included in the SWOT analysis. Make the list compelling and professional. And those hash symbols are what's called markdown language. All that's doing is telling it the style of heading to use in the output, because I want to make it look really professional. And I've specifically said for each of the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities and threats to give me a maximum of 5 ideas. We could ask for more. So let's do it. Let's see how quickly it comes up with a SWOT analysis for this business. So here we go. Piranha Brothers Fish Restaurant SWOT analysis. And it goes on to say the strengths of this business, based on what it understands from the business plan, is quality and freshness of seafood, experience management, loyal and motivated staff, positive online reputation, and strategic location. Now, why would we do what's the power of that in the context of business advisory? Well, when we can identify with a client what their strengths are, we can start to figure out how we can capitalize on those strengths. What might we do with those strengths? So a positive online reputation, well, let's use that more. Let's make sure we share those 5-star food hygiene ratings in as many places as possible. Let's build on the strengths. The weaknesses are things we could perhaps work on. So in this case, ChatGPT suggesting weaknesses could be the pricing position, limited marketing channels, seasonal variability, the profit margins, and the COVID sensitivity, because that was mentioned as some issues in the business plan. Opportunities, menu diversification, enhanced online presence, sustainability emphasis, loyalty programs, themed evenings and guest chefs. They're 5 great ideas as possible opportunities that this business could exploit, something we could start to have a conversation with the client about. And then threats, things to think about is competitive dining scene, economic downturns, always a threat in the restaurant industry, supply chain disruptions, health and safety regulations, and market trends. So that's a great SWOT analysis, and we could then copy and paste that into a Word document and take that to our meeting with the client to start helping them think about what is a SWOT analysis for them, presenting this as the homework that we've done, the research that we've done. So far we've looked at how we can use it to analyze a business plan. We've looked at how we can use it to help with strategy by creating a SWOT analysis. Let's now move on to, because we only have 10 minutes left, okay, and there's loads of stuff we could talk about. We have 10 minutes left, and I want to talk about something else that I know that will be fascinating to you, and that is financial analysis. So let's imagine that in the meeting, we also want to, when we meet the client, interpret the numbers, their financial numbers. And so I'm just going to grab a prompt and put this into ChatGPT. Let me just move across so you can see it. So here's the prompt. It says, I want you to play the role of a financial accountant. Now, you could still have left it as a business consultant. You didn't have to change the role, but because I'm now giving it numbers, I wanted to think more about it from a financial accountant's perspective, analysing the numbers as opposed to a business consultant. You could always run the prompt twice, once with a financial accountant head on, once with a business consultant. I'm just doing that to illustrate the fact that you can change the role. It then says, I'm going to provide you with the profit and loss account and balance sheet for 2022 and the results for the previous year, the comparatives. When you receive it, I'm ready for your questions, and stop. I don't want you to do anything yet. I'm going to ask it questions. I just want to give it the information, make sure that it's understood that and it's read it, and it will then say, I'm ready for your questions. And it then says balance sheet and profit and loss and insert. So how do we insert the balance sheet and the profit and loss account? As we saw earlier with the business plan, we can copy and paste text in. We can copy and paste from a Word document. But now we're talking about numbers. So how do we get it to look at numbers? Well, if you're using ChatGPT Plus, if you are subscribing, you have access to some really powerful functionality like advanced data analysis. But I want to show you what you can do with the free version and keep it really simple. The free version will let you do what I'm about to show you. So if I now move across to here, I have for this business, I have a balance sheet for the 2 years, 2022 and the previous year. I have a P&L account. If you open up a spreadsheet like this and you highlight the cells, so I've highlighted those cells there, and I'm going to do Control C, and I'm going to go back to ChatGPT, and I'm going to overwrite where it says insert and do Control V. It's now copied and pasted into there, the balance sheet. Now it looks messy, but don't worry about that. ChatGPT understands this data. So I just need to now go back and I need to go to the P&L account. I've highlighted it all, Control C, go back to here, and at the bottom under profit and loss account, I'm going to do Control V. So it's a long prompt, but it's just saying, I want you to play the role of the financial accountant. I'm going to provide you with the profit and loss account and balance sheet for 2022 and the results for the previous year. When you receive it, say I'm ready for the questions and stop. And I've just given it the copy and paste from Excel. Let's see what it does. So as I hit the green button, it's reading it all now, and it's come back and said, I'm ready for your questions regarding the provided P&L account and balance sheet. And please feel free to ask any specific questions. Great. It's got it. It understands it. So now what we can do is we can now ask questions. So I've got a handful of questions to illustrate the sorts of things we could do. We could, for example, do some profit margin analysis. So I'm just grabbing my prompt. And if I come back, so it says here, calculate the gross and net profit margins for both 2022 and 2021. What do these margins reveal about the company's profitability trends? Are there any notable changes year over year, and what might have caused them? Now, what it's going to give me is not really that insightful because I've only fed it 2 years worth of data. This would have been perhaps more useful if I'd got, say, 5 years worth of data, or perhaps looking at the monthly profit and loss account over 12 months, let's say. But nevertheless, even with just the 2 years, it's gone ahead and it's told me, if I just go back a bit, we've got here, it's telling me how it's calculating the gross profit margin, net profit margin. It's giving the numbers for 2022 and for 2021. And I know those numbers are correct because I remember them, but you might want to double check them. And then it's given me some analysis about the gross profit margins, the net profit margins, the trends that it's seeing in the data. So that might be useful as a starting point for a conversation with the client about their financial numbers. Let's pick something else. What might we ask next? We might want to do some cost analysis. So just bear with me a second while I put this prompt in. It's limitless what you could ask it. I'm just giving you some examples to get you thinking. So if we go back to here, I've written here, compare the cost of sales in 2022 with that of 2021. Are there any significant shifts in the cost structure? Identify areas where costs increased and decreased and discuss the potential impacts on the business. So off it's going, and it's doing some analysis of cost of sales in the 2 years. It's looking at where costs have increased significantly. So food costs, it says the food costs have increased from 139,000 to 220. This is a substantial increase and indicates higher expenses related to sourcing and preparing food. Potential reasons for this increase could include rising food prices, changes in menu offerings, or an increase in the volume of food sold. So that might be a useful conversation to have with the client. Their cost of food has gone up significantly from 139,000 to 220,000. That's a big increase, and it's giving some suggestions as to why that might have happened, and we can use that as a starting point for a conversation, and so on. I'm going to do one more prompt because we have 3 minutes left. Let's imagine that we've asked our clients, we've got all these questions for the client meeting. What we might also then want to do is create a report. So here we go. Acting as a business consultant, I've got a spelling mistake straight away. Acting as a business consultant, by the way, it's very forgiving about spelling mistakes. Acting as a business consultant, write a report using Markdown that sets out 1, a short summary of the state of the business based upon these financials. 2, whether there are areas of concern in the business and why they might be a problem. Number 3, 5 questions you would ask this client to better understand its current financial position. And number 4, 5 ideas for this business to help it improve its financial results. So here we go. It's creating a report. Markdown language, by the way, is giving it the different style of headings. We mentioned that earlier. So this is a great report, a summary of the business, some areas of concern about cost of sales increases, debt and loan repayments, seasonal variability, non-controllable expenses, marketing trends, some questions that it recommends that we would ask the client to get some further clarification about its numbers, and then 5 ideas for how it can improve its numbers. And some of these things it's mentioned already, menu diversification, for example, but also digital marketing enhancements, debt management strategy, operational efficiency, innovation, adaptation. So I'm hoping you can see that across this chat that we've had with ChatGPT, we've got it to analyze the business plan, we've got it to look at the numbers, it's come up with a SWOT analysis, it's come up with a whole load of suggestions of things that it can improve the business around. There's a lot of stuff in here that we could easily use for a really powerful 2-3 hour conversation with a client about their business, about the strategy, to brainstorm ideas to improve the business and just generate huge amounts of value for our clients. Now, I'm conscious we've only had 45 minutes together. I'm really just scratching the surface as to what we can do with ChatGPT and Business Advisory. I run whole training programs in the Value Pricing Academy on how to deliver advisory, on how to use ChatGPT. And we've only looked at one aspect of ChatGPT, business advisory. There's many more things that we can use it for. It's so powerful to help you with your marketing, to help you with creating business processes, to help you with answering client emails, to help you with coming up with ideas, brainstorming. There are so many things that we can use it for. But unfortunately, we have run out of time. Let me just pull up on the screen a quick reminder of those other business use cases we talked about earlier. We've gone into detail with some of these, but there's plenty of other things that we can do to help with business advisory. So I recommend that your next step, if you found this fascinating, if you want to learn more about ChatGPT, then make sure that you grab my ebook. That's the first thing you should do. And what I'll do is I'll send you a few more emails to let you know about some of the key things we're doing here, some other resources, other events and training we're doing around ChatGPT, how that can help you with your firm. And enjoy the rest of the summit. I know it's an amazing event. Let me know if you want to reach out to me, connect with me on LinkedIn. Let me know you saw me at the summit. And if you connect on LinkedIn, I'll send you some other free resources. Okay, goodbye for now.